welcome to another episode of Amazing Conversations. I am your host, Lady Andrea Revels, and this month we are wrapping up our segment on Child Abuse Awareness Month, and I am pleased to bring to you the CEO and founder of Silent Cry, none other than Miss Stephanie Hall. How are you today?
Fine, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. So glad that you took time out of your schedule to come and have a conversation with me.
It's an honor.
Thank you. So I wanted to pretty much open up, as I stated in the opening, that Silent Cry is an organization that God gifted you. Right. And I wanted you to kind of share a little bit about what Silent Cry is.
Okay, Silent Cry is a organization, non-profit. It's something that I just started from my home. And it was due to the things that I've went through as a child. And so I just came up with the Silent Cry because it's so many children that are hurting and going through, but they're going through silent.
Oh, wow.
Because as people in society, no one is listening to them. So that's where God gave me the name of the Silent Cry.
Now, I know you said based off some of the things that you experienced as a child. And I know because I know you, we've known each other for a number of years. I'm not going to tell everybody our age.
Okay.
But I remember when you were talking to me, you were saying about, and I believe it's okay because you told me, you said no holds barred. And that, I guess that's the spirit and the attitude you have about something when you're truly trying to help somebody. You know, a lot of people, we try and hide the parts that we don't want people to see. But when God brings you to a place and you're like, no, what I've experienced, I have come to realize and accept that was a part of my story so that I could be a help to someone else. So with that being said, you shared with me that you had been molested as a child. And you stated that during that time, it was a difficult time for you.
Exactly.
And I believe, tell me what I think you were saying when you told somebody the kind of response that you received.
Okay, it was difficult more difficult because I was raised up in a church-oriented home.
Okay.
And at the time, my grandmother and mother was at church. And so it was so difficult because of the way I was raised up in the church. You know, you just didn't want things to get out. So when my grandmother knew, you know, a lot of things she did according to the way she was raised. I say that. And, you know, you come up in that home, what goes on in the home stays in the home.
In the house,
and nobody gets delivered. Nobody gets free because everything, you got just a home of everything piled up. All kind of baggage, luggage. It's not going out the door, but we know Precious finna bust because it busts his pipes. So it went on, and I told her, and not that they didn't handle the situation, but it was still like a hush thing.
Hush
thing. And so I think that was my first part to being like insecure. Why me? It wasn't fair to me. You know. And at the time, the law didn't get involved because, like I say, things was always, we just gonna deal with it.
So they just kind of dealt with it
at the house.
Basically remove whoever it was that did it.
Exactly.
But then as it relates to you, did they provide a open forum for you to talk to them to ask
But
those
it
questions?
wasn't that. It was just, it happened, leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
We don't want to discuss this because you don't want this getting out the house. You don't want that. We just going to keep this quiet.
Which helped in their minds
but
the
not
image
the
of
victim.
the family, but not the victim.
Not the victim.
So you were the one that, okay, you may have removed the threat.
Exactly.
But now, how do I deal with how that made me feel?
Exactly. And from that started my life, I would say, a down spiral. Because then I'm like, you know, I held it in so long You know, nobody's talking to it. So I became vulnerable.
Wow.
Vulnerable to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it started off at the age of 12.
Mm-hmm.
I was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still going down spiral, but no one sees it.
Nobody's saying
It's still silent.
Mm-hmm.
And so even going to school, I was going to Southside at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was pregnant. So I will never forget my PE teacher. She was like, "You pregnant?" Because I went back during that time that I started showing.
Mm-hmm.
You pregnant, you know, you're not going to do PE. You're going to stand up. It was kind of like shining. If you're pregnant, you're going to just stand up in the gym until we get through. So my life began to just keep going down.
Made you
down.
feel worse about it.
Made me feel worse.
Singled you out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because I felt like at the time, and with my pregnancy, I was, you know, I felt like someone still should have pulled me to the side
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? This child is 12."
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like the love wasn't there. I knew my family loved me,
Mm-hmm.
but as black families,
Mm-hmm.
the communication need to be open.
That's right. That's
It
right.
need to be open, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. They'll just, well, so-and-so, you know, this happened, but we just going to try to keep moving it. You have to stop and deal with the issue
That's
right there.
You have to deal with it. Because if you don't, I mean, it's just like, as they say, a cancer. If people find out they got cancer and they do nothing, they just ignore it, eventually it spreads and it grows into a bigger problem.
Exactly.
So let me go back a little bit. So what age were you when you were molested? Do you remember?
I was 8.
You was 8 years old. Okay. So from that point, because you had all types of emotions and issues, certain stuff had been awakening you that you probably didn't even know you had those kind of feelings.
Exactly.
And then that caused you, I guess you saying, you developed an interest in men. Were you looking for attention from them?
I think I was looking for attention.
Okay.
And I felt like it wasn't handled the way I felt like it should have been handled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that caused me to...
Tell me what you mean by that. You felt like...
I felt like that the person should have went to jail.
Okay. You wanted him
Right.
to be dealt with.
Right.
And not just, you did it, we done dealt with, leave it alone, and you going about your business.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And that took a toll on you.
Yeah, a big toll.
Okay. Did you
know,
still have to see that person?
I saw him, but eventually they continued to do this.
To other people?
To others.
Mm.
And he ended up, he raped an 88-year-old lady on MacArthur Street.
No.
And he went to prison.
Mm.
But he had some charges so many times.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I developed a hatred for that person. And I felt like that it was more should have been done.
Right.
You know.
Maybe that if it would have been dealt with outside of the home, even with authorities, he wouldn't have had opportunity
to do the things that he done to other people. And then I also felt like that if my family or whatever would have came, some family members didn't even know until after I was grown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was like, we just gonna, you know. But I felt like if they would have been, let's talk about it. And we all know black families, you know, they just don't talk about that.
No,
you don't talk about that.
You're right.
You don't talk about
And I'll say, because I knew your grandmother and I know your mother, and I'm sure that in their minds, this is the best thing for her.
Right.
Because we don't want nobody making her feel ashamed.
Right.
Or just knowing her business.
Right.
Because, you know, back in the day, it's like you say, it's just certain stuff you didn't know about. It could be all kind of stuff going on out. Today is a different time. You know, you got reality TV, people let you see everything.
Right.
But back then, like you mentioned, it's just some stuff you did not talk about. And we all, if you are part of the African American community, you know what happens in this house stays in this house. And that's what you say. And that still holds true today.
Yes.
In a lot of instances. But at the same time,
I think in their mind, they was trying to protect me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They was trying to protect me.
But didn't realize at the same time you harming me further.
Exactly.
And that's why you mentioned even with the downward spiral,
Yes.
because you were trying to, I guess, trying to deal with what had happened to you, and then it caused you to go down a whole another path.
Destructive.
And then, you know, Stephanie, the other thing about that is, you know, sometimes it causes people to judge you because they say, this child just hot. You know that's the word they use. I don't even know whether they say that today or not. But you know that's what they usually say. Omnish. Yeah. She's omnish. You know.
Yeah.
But then not even knowing what got that person to that.
Right.
And I remember I heard a sermon Bishop Jakes preach once, and he said that he was getting so upset with his members because they were coming with him with all kind of just off the wall stuff. He said, and he had gotten so mad that he almost wanted to quit. He said, but then God quickened him, and he said that he changed his prayer to God, help me to understand why they're doing what they do.
Right.
Not necessarily what they doing, but help me to focus on what's causing this person to act out or to do this. He said, and when he started looking at it from that perspective, that in itself helped him in how he deals with people. And that's what I think you're saying, you know, why your PE coach or whatever was, you know, isolating you, and different ones was probably looking at you, judging you. She 12 and pregnant.
Right.
But then nobody really took a notion to think, why is this 12-year-old pregnant?
Exactly.
You know, what is happening at the house or has happened with this child? I get you.
Right.
And you brought up another point. You said all of this happened while your mother and grandmother was at church.
Yes.
Which meant you was at the house.
Right.
And I bring that up because I know my mama, Lord Jesus. Y'all know my mama. I love her dearly. But my mama, she was adamant about when we were little coming up. If I'm going to church, you going. And she did not leave us at the house. Even though a lot of times there was no one else at our house. But it was just a matter of, you know, if I need the word, if I need my spiritual soul fed, then I need my children to be there too. You know, and I know we have different situations. Sometimes you could be sick and people want you to stay home, but I'm just telling the way my mama was, and she was sick.
I went through that. But, you know, at the time, when we was having church, we would be, back then, you might get out of church 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh, girl, we stayed all night.
6 o'clock in the morning, so... You know, we had been church every night. It was like doing 1 hour of solemn assemblies that you church day, church at night. And so I think that their thing was just let them, you know, they got to get up early in the morning.
Trying to help.
You know, like I said, trying to protect.
And then know that. Wow. Well, Stephanie, that's a whole lot to absorb. And I know when you and I were talking, you mentioned something to me also. You said, even as it relates to church, and I think you said they kept you home because at that point they didn't want to deal with the embarrassment. Can you touch a little bit as it relates to that?
At the time, because I think it was, you know, my grandma was trying to protect me from anyone judging me or hurt my feelings. So it was because then, back then in those days, if a child did something, you didn't let your children get with them. You didn't want them to play with them no longer. Because I remember some children I used to be with all the time, and they was like relatives. And their grandma was like, y'all can't be around her, she pregnant. But that hurt me.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know, that hurt me. But at the time, they felt like, you know, if she did this happened, it can happen to you. So my thing is to remove you. So that kind of just kept me to myself. You know, it kind of kept me to myself. But I knew then that why my grandmama did that. Now, as I got older, it was all to protect me.
Right.
Because, you know, I I felt like some of the church mothers or something should have said, well, you know what, tell Step to come on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Daisy, you know, whatever happened, we gonna get through this. And you know, I felt like that. But I guess at the time with the rules and everything, you know, you just, because I came up in that era where we was kind of, it was strict.
Sanctified. Baptized.
Yes. And
straight line.
Hey, that didn't happen.
Right.
That ain't supposed to happen. So.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, and I know I know then, I know now, like you said then, you know, people left you at home, and I heard you say when we were talking, you said that's where I needed to be, because if I had been able to go to church, then that probably would have kept me from getting involved in other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I thank God now for our current pastor, my husband, Apostle Felix Revels.
Right.
How I remember, I don't know if you remember, but it was some years back, he plastered this big old sign, you remember, on the front of the church that said, all sinners welcome.
Yes.
And what his thing is, he was like, the house of God is the spiritual hospital.
That's what it is.
This is where people who, sinners, people that may be dealing with, you know, issues, whatever it is, insecurity, whatever. This is the place where you come and get your healing.
Exactly.
And he instructed the congregation. I want y'all to, in the Facebook land, I just want you to hear me clearly. He instructed the congregants. He said, this is the house where love is Lord.
Yes.
That means, he said, when people come through these doors, whether they have been bound by drugs, whether they have been just beaten down, you know, if they prostitutes on the street, if they've been beaten down by family members, whatever. He said, when they come to this house, he said, this is the house where love is Lord. He said, I don't want you judging them. He said, the only thing I want people to see is love. And I think that's what you're saying. If you had gotten that, maybe at that time, it would have kept you from being in other stuff.
I felt like that, you know, had they embraced me and showed me the love, it would have saved me from the destruction that I went. That path. You
believe that?
I know so.
Well, I can definitely see, you know, what you're saying. And, you know, Stephanie, I thank God for grace. Because at the same time, you know, when I talk about, you know, our pastor and how he is literally changing the thought or the mindset of EFVM. When he said God told him to preach grace. Because a lot of times we, as black people, the black church, you know, we've always been taught God gonna get you.
Yes,
you know, messed up, you did wrong, and you serving God out of fear.
Yes.
But when we can get to the point where we start serving God out of love, because we want to, and we know that we can boldly approach the throne, then that in itself gives us a certain amount of liberty and confidence. Because we understand, God, I know I messed up. I know I did wrong. But I know that you're not standing over me, judging me. You know, you've already paid for whatever sins or wrongs that I've done. You've already paid the price. And I'm saying that I know during the time back in the day when we were kids brought up in the church, that was not the message. But I thank God that he has gotten us to this point today where we can receive the grace that God has already gifted us. And I know even with what you're saying about the stuff you got involved in, you know, because I think you even mentioned, even as it relates to how you got hooked on drugs at an early age also. You know, when you think about that, I just have to try and find, I try and look for the bright side. You know, and I think about if that hadn't happened to you, then you would not have had the unction or the call to say silent cry.
I don't regret it because what it cost me to sit here right now, I counted up the cost. And what it cost me, it cost me a lot of hurtful nights. It cost me 25 years of addiction of crack cocaine, caused me in and out of prison. But it also cost me, it gave me more love, more compassion. This seat I'm sitting in now, I paid the price to sit in.
All right, girl. Y'all know she a preacher.
It costs. It costs. And so I don't regret it. I don't regret nothing I've been through. Because now I can see through things. When I see people, I don't judge. And when I got delivered again from drugs, I came in here one Sunday. And our pastor, your husband, Apostle, was preaching on love. And I was finna go to another church that Sunday. Because I was like, I was raised up in there. Everybody know my story. I don't want to be judged. Everybody know my step, my past. And I was like, I'm going to go somewhere else. And the lady that was driving me around, she didn't have a gas cap on. And I was like, too much gas smelling. I got to get out of here. So I stopped here. And I came in. And I had the apparatus that I get high with on me. I had cocaine on me when I came in here. Because my intention was to leave here and to go back and get high.
Go get high.
And your husband was preaching a message about love.
About love.
And through love and kindness. And when he was preaching that message, I went to the altar. With everything that I had, I went to the altar. And God delivered me.
Thank you, Lord.
He delivered me.
Wow. I
didn't have to go to treatment. I had tried that. Even going to prison, juvenile facilities, in and out, in and out. It wasn't like when I came to the altar and God did it. It was a big difference.
Wow.
It was a big difference.
So are you saying that God did it and he immediately took that taste and desired your
He
life?
immediately, I was still, when I got home, I remember asking my mom, because I wasn't staying there. I asked her, I said, well, I'm coming to your house. And I held on to them drugs for like 3 days because I just couldn't believe that the taste had left. And on the third day, I just threw it away.
You got rid of it.
I got rid of it. And I couldn't believe it. Because I had to battle and struggle. I would get out of prison. Doing years in the same day I get out. I want to go get high. I want to go get high. And I just couldn't believe, but God did.
God did.
God did.
Wow. Well, and see, that in itself, Stephanie, I mean, that's amazing. That's the power, even again, of love.
Yes.
And grace.
Grace.
So when I hear you talk about, what you've been through, and I just know the life that you told me you have led.
Yes.
Many people didn't get to see April 2021.
No.
I'm sure you've lost a lot of friends.
A lot of friends. As a matter of fact, all my closest friends, they gone.
Already gone.
Already gone.
Different stuff.
Different stuff.
Wow. Because you think about even with AIDS running rampant.
Yes.
Drug overdose.
Yes.
And just being in particular environments of violence.
Yes.
And God brought you through.
Yes.
So that you could see this day.
Yes.
Because again, I have to say there's so many kids, even adults, that probably need counseling. Still dealing with stuff from their childhood. But what I hear you saying, and which let me I'm not negating counseling, because I think counseling is important, and a lot of African American families have been taught to believe that counseling is a sign of weakness.
Right.
But it's not. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to.
Right.
And I'm thinking about counseling even coupled with God.
Yes.
When you have a belief in God and you know that he can heal, deliver, and set free, that in itself can change the path of your life.
Yes.
So when I hear you talk about silent cry and how God has gifted you with that organization, I have to commend you, because a lot of people, they don't want people to see or know the uncomely things about it. But when I see you sitting here today looking all beautiful and
thank you.
glamified, look, I would not, if I had not known you and you had not shared with me, I could not look at you and say, oh, she experienced all that, because you don't wear it. Right. And that's what so many people need to see, that there's still hope.
There's still hope.
And that they too can be on the other side of it.
Yes.
And that's what Silent Cry provides.
Yes, yes. Because it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a process. You know, even getting clean off drugs. Mm-hmm. You have, you know, that's why a lot of times people, I don't say I'm a recovering addict. Mm-hmm. I say I'm a redeemed addict. Because the redeemer of the Lord, let the redeemed say so.
Say so.
So I'm not recovering. Because recovering means you can go back.
Right.
And so I had to get that in my mind. I'm not going back. So I'm not recovering. I'm redeemed. I already been bought with a price. This thing been paid for. I'm not going to no longer keep going back subject to this disease of addiction. And it is a disease. And I feel my heart goes out. Because it's people that I still got out there.
Yeah.
That I love, I still care about. You know. And I know they tell you in this, inside the walls of the 12-step program, you change people, places, and things. But my thing is, I just didn't want to leave my friends. I didn't feel like God delivered me to lead them. You know, and I understand you got to be careful where you go, but I didn't feel like God brought me out to lead the people that I was down with. Why not? I cannot get their hand and pull them on with me and bring them to the ark of safety. You know, that would be cruel if you drowning and you leave your friend when you get on the lifeboat. Right. Throw them a safeguard out there. Throw them afloat so you can bring them on. You know, don't leave. No one should be left behind.
That's right.
And that's how I feel when it comes to children. When it comes to adults dealing with addiction. When it comes, you know, a lot of people had cast me off. You know, she gonna be in and out of prison all her life. She gonna do this. She gonna do that. You know, I know even with the addiction and drugs, they still wondering how God gonna provide, how God gonna make a way. I was the one that felt like I always had to hustle. I always had to go get it. I always had to do that. God will provide.
Yes, He will.
I can honestly say that today. I don't have to do nothing illegal. God can provide.
Yes, yes.
And you know, and it takes that you had to, because I had to get to that point. God, I got to trust you.
Trust you.
I got to trust you. You know, and I remember when I got out of prison, you know, I was questioning God, where will I stay? God, I have nothing. You know, and God was like, if you just trust me, let me lead you. Yeah. I had a house 4 days later. You got people don't even have nowhere to stay. You know, it just bothers me because all they need as Christians and saints, I feel like God gave me this revelation one time, and He was letting me know that all real saints, bought believers, blood Christ saints, we should be like and the old people would say, filling station. Okay. But the gas station. And when we come to the house of God, He was letting me know that the only reason why we come is to assemble ourselves to gain strength to go back. We get a filling. This the gas station. We get fuel up. And that's to go back and get the ones that don't have the power. Oh my. And God was letting me know that He said that those that are weak, you got this, the stronger have to pray for the ones that are weak. That's right. Because I didn't have the strength at one point. At one point, I didn't. I didn't even know how I could even get off. I had walked in the streets crying, wanted to go to jail, didn't know no way, was lost. You know, and I wanted to go to jail because God, I was out there dying. I was out there dying. You know, and God was letting me know that's where the saints got to step in. It's hope, but the saints got to step in. And we got to go back out and let them know that we coming and we coming in love. We got to do this thing and we got to be sincere about it. That's right. And we got to do it. We got to go back and get our people. Right. Because Jesus, when He went in love. Yes, he didn't go judging. When He went and the lady touched the hem of His garment, He went in love. So that's the thing that the saints, when we come to assemble ourselves, it's just to be fuel. Fuel to go back and get those that are left behind and lost.
Well, seeing that we've received our sermon for tonight, I like that. The filling station. Yes, oh my God. Yes. That truly is a message that needs to be shared. I want to take this opportunity to tell you that I thank you for sharing your story. So I thank you for coming on. You know, hopefully this message, this conversation will reach others so that they too can see that you no longer have to be bound. Yes. If you have a desire to be saved, set free, and delivered, that God is still in the healing and delivering business. Yes. Look, and we understand, and you say it's a process. It's a process. So everybody may not be delivered instantaneously. Right. But what you said as often as we continue to assemble ourselves, we get strength. That's right. And the strong bear the infirmities of the weak. Yes. We continue to pray for our brothers and sisters. Yes. And we have to know and believe that God will change us. Yes. Now, as it relates to my children who are out there in our audience, their families, whether you're your children or the, you heard the message today. Yes. Don't be silent. Yes. Find somebody that you can talk to to let them know what's happening. Yes. And Silent Cry is one of those avenues. I'm sure we will have up on the monitor information if you want to get in touch with Miss Hall. Yes. So that she can connect you with, if it's something that Silent Cry cannot aid with, she's also a point of resource connection. Yes. She will be able to help you get the help that you need. Yes. Most importantly, I would like to encourage you just as find you a Bible-based church. Yes. Because nobody is perfect. Right. But I do know that God is perfect. Yes. And whenever you can find yourself in the house of the God, in the house of the Lord, then please know and understand that there is still healing and deliverance there. It is. Yes. So I am your host again, Lady Andrea Revels, thanking you for joining us tonight on Amazing Conversations. I want to encourage you to like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us tonight. We wish you a good evening.